Hello, everybody. This is Chico with Independent Press Project. First Monday night stream. It's the No Name Show for today. Hopefully next week we have a new one. I'm joined here with Dabu7, Erick M. I'm Mike Robertson, and the Watchers. What's up, everybody?
What's up?
What's going on?
How's it going, Chico?
It's been a busy day.
It has. I agree.
Started off with the events in Russia and explosions there on the subway, and then there was actually a derailment at Penn Station after that. Mike, you said that they discovered a third explosive. What was the details of that?
That's what I'd heard. I haven't dove into too much research about it, but it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah, no, that's pretty crazy, that explosion, man. You know, all the stories are coming out pretty fast on that too.
They were
our Western media talking about it so quick.
Sure, and it's been a continued topic of discussion throughout the evening tonight. It's being talked about quite heavily on mainstream media as well.
What about that Donald Trump thing tonight?
What do you mean?
The where he signed off the rights of the ISPs to sell our data.
Right.
For the ISPs to sell our data. He signed it off tonight. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I'm definitely not a fan of this whole thing, and
Not a good idea.
and I mean, and I know a lot of people may get kind of partisan into this, but it's kind of, I don't know. This is kind of very concerning. This was one of the few things that I actually liked coming out of the Obama administration. And it was really just a rule that was proposed to the administration, and then adopted. It was never really a law for anybody to follow. It was the FCC suggested that this new rule should be put into place, and I guess the Obama administration said, okay, yeah, go for it, do it. Which to all of my knowledge is well within the right of the president to be able to do. But it was one of those things that in fact I have the actual SJ Res 34 pulled up on my phone right now. This is the thing that has been signed or is shortly being signed. I'm not entirely sure if it has actually been. I think, Erick, you were saying that it was confirmed that it was signed into law today.
Watchers, if you want to tweet me that link real quick, I can screen share. Get it up on the screen.
Which one? I'll forward you a couple of these real quick.
Yeah,
but I was going to say that our privacy and the amount of information that internet service providers, the people that bring you your internet, and this isn't just your internet at your house. This also includes your internet on your phone, the internet in your car, the Wi-Fi that's being picked up by all of your devices. It's just all of that information is now able to be snatched up. And I sent you a second link. This one inside is from the FCC directly, down towards the bottom where it has all of the files. I believe it's the proposed rulemaking. If you open up the PDF, it's the notice of proposed rulemaking. It's the very top one. Select the PDF. That was one of the things that I was gonna hit on also. But in here, if we go back to the actual text of the resolution, it's going in here and it's saying providing under the congressional disapproval under Chapter 8 of Title 5, which is basically Congress's capability to override executive mandates and executive rulings within the Code of Law of the United States. The rules submitted by the Federal Communications Commission related to protecting the privacy of customers of broadband and other telecommunication services, resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives of the United States of America, in the Congress assembled, that Congress disapproves of the rules submitted by the Federal Communications Commission related to protecting the privacy of customers of broadband and other telecommunication services, and such rules shall have no force or effect. This is what is either being proposed to Trump or has already been signed by Trump, is the removal of those words or of those rules. Inside those rules, so I did a little search on what those rules actually were, which was the PDF that I had sent you in that other page, Mike. If that's actually loaded up. What page is this on? Page 9, I believe. This is paragraph 18. Where it says choice in there. And this is the thing that concerns me and that I actually agreed with. It says, because broadband providers are available to view vast swaths of customer data, some of it highly sensitive, including healthcare and financial information, customers must be empowered to decide how broadband providers may use and share their data. Of course, the use of this information for the delivery of broadband services is inherent in the customer's broadband provider's relationship. But beyond that, important questions arise, including, for example, when customer data can be used for the purposes or for other purposes, or when it can be shared with affiliates and third parties. Shared with affiliates and third parties is any kind of sharing. That's the selling of your information to advertisers, the providing of your information to any third party. That's the thing that terrifies me, and it's more than just your searching history, your Google searching history. This is your Netflix watch history. This is you logging in on your phone to your healthcare provider's application or app to be able to look at your prescriptions. Logging in.
It's the voices with the Google Home devices too. All of that
exactly
can be searched and skimmed, and conversations had over Wi-Fi devices and all that stuff. It's all searchable.
All data, all data. The stuff, the people that have smart refrigerators, that it notifies you when the temperature in your refrigerator is getting a little bit too hot or too cold, or your milk's getting low. The light bulbs that you can turn on and off with your phone, that information, all of that stuff that goes in and out of your connection at your house, not just your search history on your browser window. Everything can be snatched up. What this rule by the FCC was to block the internet service providers, because they have so much access to the information. It was to be able to block them from having that much information, or at least not having that much information, but from sharing that information as they saw fit. So without providing the customer any kind of say-so in the matter, or providing them any benefit in the sale of that information. I mean, we all know that we're being tracked everywhere, and certain things we will give in on, which is one of the things that we have to deal with every day of our lives. I mean, I know when I go to the grocery store and I punch my phone number in, or I swipe my bonus card, the grocery store is collecting data off of my purchases. But in return for collecting that data, they are actually paying me and returning the favor by giving me discounts on products. These ISPs, these internet service providers, the Comcast, the Verizon, the AT&Ts, the Cox Communications, the Time Warners, all of them, there's nothing requiring them to either accept or to seek your permission, or to give you any kind of a kickback for selling off your information. So not only are they gaining money from selling your information, you're paying them to sell your information. Private information about you, intimate information about you.
Which, that's the part I don't agree with. It's like, I feel like if you're gonna sell my information, at least give me a discount on my data.
Exactly. I mean, I probably wouldn't have as big of a deal if there was like an opt-in or an opt-out of this kind of program. I'll pay a little bit more for my internet service, but you can't use my data traffic for data mining purposes.
I agree with
I'd
that.
be all for that, or provide a free internet. Provide free internet for people that want to give up that kind of information. I mean, we all know that Facebook and Google and Twitter already do all of that kind of stuff, but they also, in return, give you access to a free service. You don't have to pay to use Twitter or Facebook or Google. I have to pay my internet service provider to use the internet, to access
fee at that most of the time.
Exactly. And these ISPs were complaining in the first place that they were being restricted and their hands are being tied. And Google and Facebook and Twitter were gaining so much information, and they had an unfair advantage in the data the data
monopoly.
I guess monopoly or
targeting of advertising.
The data stock market, for lack of a better word,
right?
That their hands were being tied so much that they couldn't be able to compete with these types of people. My thing was, they're not even in the same business. Why do they need to compete with them? They shouldn't have to compete with them. Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat and all of these other, and Google, are social networks. the backbone to access the social network is not a social network; it's a backbone. And not only, I mean, Facebook is only allowed to collect information that you use on Facebook and look at the cookie file and the cache file within your computer that you allow it to look at. This is so intrusive that it's not even allowing allowing you to opt out, and that's the biggest issue that I have with it.
I'd also like to point out for the record that this isn't just your home internet services. This is any Wi-Fi or any cellular data connection that goes through any type of internet. Basically, everything on your mobile devices other than calling and texting, and a lot of your calling and texting is already routed through HD calling,
Which is data.
Right, it's all data. So with the emergence of things like Google Home and Alexa, knowing already that voice recognition technology is extremely advanced at this point, and it is what it is. Knowing that your words going over these networks literally being converted to ones and zeros for evaluation by an algorithm to determine what type of advertising they should target you on your headers on your websites that you go to and things like that. Just keep in mind that it's everything that's getting recorded, all this data. Whatever you type in your browser, whatever you type in Twitter message, whatever you type in, anything, and it's all being recorded. It's all being, so the purpose that they're saying is for the reasons of advertising and making it a fair market across the board. But it's been proven before that what they say is the only reason isn't necessarily the only reason that it's being done. The potential for people having ill intentions with it in some sort of agency is extreme. It's extremely high. All of the data will be readily available and sold to the highest bidder, and it's a lot. It means a lot. What was signed by Trump this evening, about an hour ago, the finalization of what we've talked about in a few shows over the past couple of weeks, it really does mean a lot. It's just worth paying attention to.
Well, I was going to say one more thing, that there is a bit of light within this concerning topic as well. And I think I put out a video either late Friday night or late Saturday night. I can't remember when exactly it went out, but in Minnesota late last week, their state Congress, the Minnesota state, whatever you want to call it, their Congress, their senators and everything, proposed and voted into law a protection for their constituents, their citizens, to at least have a bit of legal recourse to fall back on, preventing these internet service providers from harvesting up all of their information. And in the law, that it hasn't been signed by their governor just yet, but it requires the internet service provider, whoever the internet provider is, be it a mobile internet provider or a home internet provider, your broadband at your house, they have to receive written consent to be able to basically sell off your information. Now, granted, anything is possible. They could be deciding to sell off your information without your consent. But in Minnesota, the citizens of Minnesota at least have a legal recourse on the state level to fight against the big data companies, the big data providers, which I started thinking the other day when I was looking into it a little bit more, that maybe that was actually the original goal behind this, and partly the reason why Trump kind of sides with this type of thing is it takes the control away from the federal government and puts it back into the local level, the state's hands. Which, I mean, it's kind of like if you live, it gives you the ability to, if this really bothers you, you can actually go and move to Minnesota and be protected under Minnesota law from Comcast or from Verizon or from these big data companies being able to sell your information without your consent.
If
Or
one
which,
state pulls through on that, a lot of other states are sure to follow close behind.
well, and at the end
You
of my
know?
video, I actually wrote in here now is the time to contact your state representatives, not the people that go off to DC, but the people that make the rules within your own state, within your own county or district or municipality or wherever that you live. Contact them and say, this is what the people over in Minnesota have done. I want you to make something similar. I want you to protect me. And granted, this is being pushed by Democrats. So I mean, you're going to get a little bit of a partisan backlash. This is a very, very partisan issue where it's the whole Republicans versus the Democrats type of thing.
Hey, real quick, Chico, could you do me a favor? In your Google Hangout, can you click on what I'm screen sharing on the bottom so that it can go for everybody to see
Yes. There you go.
the resolution? Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
sir. I'm sorry. Continue.
No problem.
Yeah, and I mean, the whole thing is really concerning to me. But there could very well be a silver lining to this. It reduces the size of the federal government. It takes these rules away from the FCC and now puts them at the state level. So if the state wants to protect their citizenry, then the state can protect their citizenry. They don't have to depend on the federal government to protect their privacy, to protect their billing information, to protect their healthcare information, to protect their browser history. They no longer have to do that. And I remember, Dee, you had actually put out something the other day talking about some other private citizens putting out crowdsourcing or crowdfunding projects
to raise the money to basically turn the tables. They're basically saying, look, if you want to make this legal for you guys to come after all of our browsing history and all of our everything, then guess what? We're going to raise some money and we're going to buy yours. So I thought it was pretty clever. I mean, at some point you've got to fight back in clever ways. And I mean, I think personally, to get our hands on name a senator, name one, pick one.
Reid.
All right. Imagine we get all of his browsing history. Can you imagine? Seriously.
Not such a good idea in Congress anymore, is it?
Unless they go and they buy all that up themselves.
Well, but the thing is they may be able to put restrictions and rules, and Congress may be able to federally buy up the internet usage for what happens within the congressional offices and within the Congress building itself, and within the White House and all of the lawmakers, all of the different offices. But that doesn't prevent you from raising $100,000 and buying up John McCain's search history from his internet service provider and publishing it on the internet, or anybody that voted for this thing, that voted to repeal these rules. Now I'm kind of torn thinking about it when going into the thought process of states' rights versus federal oversight. I'm kind of torn between those two concepts, because I agree with allowing the states to define their own rights, because at least in that respect, I can have the choice to relocate to a state that actually protects the rights or the privacy of their citizenry. Whereas if no states did it, I'd be all for. I'd be definitely all for buying up the search history of every member of Congress that voted to remove this this ruling by the FCC and by the Obama administration. And that's one thing that I cannot stress enough, is this came into effect under the Obama administration. The person that was the bad guy, that was actually he was. I mean, there was a lot of bad shit that came out. Sorry for the language, but there was a lot of bad stuff that came out during the Obama administration.
It's the harsh reality of it.
But this was one of the good things. At least I thought it was one of the good things. But the internet providers have enough money to be able to buy off members of the House and Senate and send them on free vacations down to islands in the Caribbean, and give them ski chalets in the Swiss Alps. They have that kind of money to be able to buy off these people. What the guy from Cards Against Humanity and what was his name, Misha Collins, from the TV show Supernatural, were doing was they were requesting money from all of the citizens that are upset about this stuff, so that we can then be the money providers and screw these people over. Which I'm kind of for it. And if we at least and those crown funds get big enough, those pocketbooks get fat enough in those crowdsourcing programs, it may make the states want to enact something. So not only to protect their lawmakers, to protect the federal lawmakers that reside in those states, but in return it protects all of the citizenry. So it could be one of those, we'll force you into submission. And I mean, it could actually work. But then it'll be up to the states, which I'm all for. I'm all for that. But that's my piece on that.
Yeah, that's nuts.
No, it is. It's crazy. It makes you wonder, like, how can this even be allowed? You know.
To be free, what's up, man?
Not much. How you guys doing?
How you doing?
Good to have you join us, man.
Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having me on. The subway thing at Penn Station today. Mm-hmm. I have family. I know people that work in the city, and a couple weeks ago there was an instance where there was, I guess they call it a soft derailment, where one of the trains made contact with the other train.
I heard about that.
Yeah. Out of anything, despite whatever people think or whatever, I think it brings an awareness to people, having a plan for when things like this happen. Like, we just seen that fire down in Georgia, where it took out that piece of highway. And what are they saying? 6 months to a year to repair that?
Yeah, and even with that too, with the Amtrak development from last year inside of Philadelphia, that canceled all of Amtrak service and substance service and New Jersey transit service in that area for about a good 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, I was personally affected by that.
Well, even like the, Penn Station or even other stations where people commute into the city every day. I mean, I know the one train station in Hoboken, there's 250,000 people that use that train station a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of people, man.
Didn't they just have a train in Hoboken blow through the end of into the station at the end of the tracks?
That
was a while back.
3 months ago, something 4 months ago.
We're also talking about the ones that own the property there for that. We're also the ones that owned the World Trade Center property, or were in charge of it. What was it the Port Authority or something?
Mm-hmm.
You guys seen it was?
Mm-hmm. Most of that is policed and run by all the Port Authority in New York and New Jersey,
right?
And then they work together, like with Philly, Pennsylvania, and Jersey work together with the Port Authority on that. But we just had here in Jersey, we just had 2 people go to prison for Bridgegate. They came to the conclusion that they didn't have enough evidence to prosecute Governor Chris Christie. But 2 of his associates did receive time. The one woman received 24-month sentence, and the other gentleman, I believe it was 18-month sentence. So despite whatever people think, these things happen. I mean, these politicians have that kind of power to, shut down massive transportation arteries into the city. I mean, the George Washington Bridge is, it's a heavily traveled bridge, one of the most in the world.
Yeah, they just sent one of the biggest culprits of that in New Jersey down to Washington. You know what I mean? Like his office got busted with the whole bridge situation. They jacked up traffic for so long.
Well, that's the other thing too here in the state. I mean, that's where I reside, is New Jersey, and it's a great state. And, unfortunately, we still have a lot of people that are struggling because when Sandy came through, a lot of claims, and I'm not talking about FEMA, I'm talking about regular insurance that you pay for your house. Everybody that owns a house primarily has some type of insurance in case something happens, whether it's fire or, whatever. And people are still waiting. And to me, it was a good way for them, because a lot of people that live here on the Jersey Shore are middle-class people, where houses have been handed down through generations through people that have worked hard and bought it back in the day when things were cheap. And it's changing a lot. And they used a big part of that. FEMA came in and they said, look, your house has to be up on pilings. Okay. Well, it's got to be 12 feet up in the air. Well, that's $30,000. And a lot of people that don't have that kind of money. So what do? You sell the property dirt cheap, because the property rates here are rock bottom. So it's a shame. And but my point being is, I got a little off subject there. Sorry. My point being is that people should have alternative routes for things like this when these things happen. If anything, just looking to see what's happened in the news just recently. It's good to be prepared in any which way, because these things keep becoming more and more relevant, unfortunately.
Know the lay of the land where you live. Know your back roads. Know those little roads not many people know about. Know your property more than anything else. So be able to get out of Dodge.
And even with that too, if you're a commuter, for example, and there's something that happened on the train line, learn the other train lines around you. Maybe the next train station for a completely different line is 3 towns away. Still learn it, because you never know when you might need it. So it could possibly be your only way home. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I was getting everybody's links into the description and everything. I've had a busy day myself. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to keep up with the news too much today. I had to wipe out my computer and do all that fancy stuff. So I took out the majority of my day. Been a lot of computer work going on. Yeah, I had to back up everything and then, restore it all after installing a new hard drive. So I've just been backed up with that, and I have have my children. They're full time job. But yeah, no, this stuff is definitely, as far as the I-85 bridge and all of these big events happening like this recently, it's crazy. And I agree, you need to learn your alternate routes, because even if nothing bad has happened to your main highways in your area, you still need to learn your alternate routes, because in a big event or a big catastrophe, those routes are going to be so congested, it's going to be no way for you to get out of there. You're going to be just as stuck as if you never left your house, or even more. So.
Yeah, and I think too, like, you don't realize how important things are or whatever till it doesn't work. It's just, an example would be like, a storm comes through and you're out of power. D, I know you went through this, and you find out certain things that you didn't know till you go through the situation. But for the most part, you were prepared. And electricity is so much more than just the lights at night. I mean, it's your computers, it's your phones, it's your refrigeration, it's your heating and cooling. It's multiple different things. And just, you see these things that happen, and you never know. Anything could happen. And
one of the biggest problems I ran into during this last storm was, I went down to the generators and got everything fired up, and the lights and some of my essentials, the fridge, and made my way down to the water heater. Come to find out, I couldn't plug into it. And that was a big problem, because if not, we're going to be having cold showers, the whole time. It was just the way it was rigged. It gave me an obstacle. So that's something I had to get fixed, just to be able to do that. Because if we would have went days without being able to tap into that, we'd have been days without any hot water. Imagine if that turns into weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when it's adults, but when it's children involved, that's a horrible situation.
Yeah.
Especially when you live places where it gets cold. Like, see, in Florida, that's not a big worry for me. If my water heater, I can't get to it, I live where it's 80 to 100 degrees all year round, so the water's not gonna be that cold. But in a more northern state, where the pipes freeze up and everything, oh man, that could be a real problem. Having that hot water heater.
D, was was your water heater, was it just like a hardwired in, or? Oh, okay. It wasn't like a 220 circuit where your generator couldn't even power it.
They had like tie nuts on stuff connected and everything else. It was hardwired. There was no way for a plug. I was like, damn it. So I had to hit him up and the landlord up and be like, look, you got to fix some things.
I mean, one of the solutions that you probably could have done was take an extension cord, and lob one end off, just cut one end off, strip back the wires, and then match them up color for color, with the leads that are coming out of the water heater, and then just
myself up.
Ah, man. I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do in an emergency situation.
I'm gonna keep us real warm.
Yeah. Use my body for firewood.
No, I see what you're saying, though. If tying into it.
Yeah, instead of the main wire coming over from your breaker, it's now coming over. It.
I didn't want to touch it, so I figured it's something he could do something. He could be responsible for it. Let him know. What am I going to do when the power goes out? Not much he could say. Yeah.
Hardwired is a good one.
That was the lesson. I mean, if it just simply plugged into the wall, it would fix things. If it just simply had plugs, those are things you learn along the way, man.
Yeah, it's better to find them out in those smaller situations than a more.
Right. That's what I was gonna say. Thankfully, it was just a small window instead of
a big gap.
You know, the day the lights go out for show.
Yeah, yeah, man. Anything else? What about let's see, these fire trucks. I mean these semi trucks.
Yeah, did you get any updates on that, man? That was interesting because normally when you hear about a dozen trucks
here in South Florida,
I can't remember the last time I've heard of a dozen semi trucks ever blowing up at one time, and to have them all blow up at one time and then have no calls being talked about. And it wasn't the fire that caused that; it was they caused the fire. What blew up 12 trucks? It's really got me like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, it is crazy. I've been looking.
No updates.
No, nothing on the cause of the fire.
On this,
yeah,
man.
on the cause of the fire, they're not saying anything, man.
That's not normal. Normally we get a little update or something.
Something saying it looked like arson or disgruntled
employee, or it was an accident, just like the boiler thing today that blew up. There's details like right there when they get real quiet on crap like that makes you wonder.
Yeah, and it was putting out some thick black smoke, man.
Took out produce, a lot of produce too.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what it said. It was
I seen they said something about a produce company. I think they said they had to evacuate a produce company that was nearby there. But that what's it? Turkey Point power plant, nuclear plant. They didn't really say anything about that the other day, a couple weeks ago when that was going on.
Well,
they stay hush on these.
Hopefully by morning we'll get an update on that, or by tomorrow.
Yeah. Anybody got anything else they wanna they got on their mind? I'm browsing here trying to see if I get anything that triggers me.
You want to ask anybody in the chat if they want to help you name your show, Mr. No Name?
Yeah, I asked. I actually asked in the chat already. Just talking.
I missed it.
I came with a let me see. I don't want to mispronounce her name. I believe it's Genia Alamar. She said Monday Madness. Mrs.
Shoot.
Ghost. She said Hardwired. That's the only two so far.
All right.
I mean, anything's better than no name.
Yeah, right.
So, but it's probably where we're gonna end it this week. It'll probably be a shorter one this week. Next week I'll be more organized and situated. Hopefully I won't be wiping out a computer next week. I don't like to do that more than once a year, So thank you all for
shout out to everybody out there. Yeah.
Anybody got anything coming up this week you wanna let anybody know about?
You guys got any stream times?
Yeah, for me it's Wednesday, 9:00, 0 hour on Mike Robertson. Follow on Twitter, same name.
Okay.
Woo!
I put your YouTubes in the your YouTube.
Yeah, Chico, I have it. There's a master list of everybody's everything. I'll just copy it and paste it to you. And then
I'm gonna need that because I was doing that in the first part of this stream, just going to everybody's
it's
channels,
literally anybody and everybody we chill with. So
okay.
Get that to you right away.
All right, everybody. Well, I really appreciate it. I could give some shout outs to everybody in the chat. Thank you for tuning in today. WhomItMay, Bob Hammond, USN Grey Ghost, Mrs. Ghost, Barb N, I'm Mike Robertson with a Kiwi, 1 foot on the beach, Barb N.
Like Kiwi.
Thank all of you. I appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Make sure to tune into these guys' channels. Check the description box for their channel addresses. They also have Twitters. I'll update it later if you guys come back to the to this video later. I'll update the description box. Anybody heard from Kart Racer? Not familiar with Kart Racer 1 foot, but
yeah, I think he's straight. Just been last I've seen, he's been traveling around or on the move, working.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you. Catch you next week.
Much love, y'all.
Later, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.